Guess who's back?
Are y'all ready to have some fun?
We're still here, and we better turn it out.
I wanted you to see that I've had a little work done.
A little.
You are surrounded by love.
Places, ladies, places.
Let's talk.
Hello? Oh, yeah, girl, we're here.
My gosh, you know, a sequel is all about being bigger and better, honey. And with this one, I can definitely say We're Here delivers. We went to so many amazing spaces, and we were able to tell even more stories this season, because last season was 6 episodes. This season is 8 episodes. So I was just thrilled to be able to get back to work and amplifying these voices in these small conservative spaces across America that deserve to have their stories told. Favorites. It's so hard to say a favorite, because let me tell you, every town is different, and every one of my drag kids, my participants, are different, but they all have these touching, gripping stories that I think that people even outside of our queer community would identify with and be moved and hopefully inspired by. One of my faves, though, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna just do it with you, because I know you're like, girl, come on with it, Jose, would have to be Del Rio, Texas is special. You know, not only, you know, because I'm a Texan and I have a special place in my heart for Texans and our stories, but because it was such a melting pot of cultures, you know, between the Tejano culture and the Mexican culture as well, languages, and then the queer community and what its placement is in a traditional, very machismo, you know, area and culture. And then seeing someone like Bruno, you know, Mayor Bruno Lozano, who's very out loud and proud, and seeing him in this amazing position of leadership, you know, and inspiring not only, you know, and that's an elected position in a community that is traditionally not very inclusive to the LGBTQI plus, you know, people there. So it was great to see Mayor Bruno be such a leader in that community, and it inspires people. I think it gave greater insight for people outside of our community who may have their own stereotypes of what positions gay people should be in, where they should participate with regard to their communities, specifically government. But also it's very inspiring, I think, to a lot of the young people in that community to see someone who has come up in part of their community, and is a, you know, an out loud and proud gay person, and still able to hold it down, you know, in a role of leadership like a mayor, leading people both in our community and outside of our community. And Bruno has continued to be an amazing leader in that community, but he never done drag in this way. And even when he was running, I think this was part of the story. Yes, it was. I saw this. You learn in this episode where, you know, parts of who he is as a gay man were used against him during the campaigning of his competitors for this particular role of mayor. And they put pictures out of him in a tutu. Pride, you know, we would go to Pride, we live our lives. He was wearing a gay tutu and heels at Pride, and they kept using that picture and bringing it up in different ads and saying, like, this is who you want to be your next leader, because they would try to take parts of our community about the ownership of who we are and the ways that we celebrate within our community and use that against us, you know? And it's really inspiring to see that community elect him, but also how he then governs those people that voted for him and the people who voted against him, but still works toward unifying that community.
You know, I don't want to give out too much. We are traveling, you know, I would say from sea to shining sea with the amazing towns that we're visiting. We're even traveling maybe even a little bit beyond that. here on season 2. I can't tell you much of anything, but I will say that I'm really excited to be telling some stories of, again, of Indigenous people, of trans people, differently abled people, Black people. I'm really excited to be we're really stepping up our inclusivity this season.
Season 2 has just wrapped, honey, and it feels amazing that we just finished. It was a long, hard, road through a pandemic, and it was incredible. We're going a lot of amazing places. We're going to Evansville, Hawaii. We're going to Colorado. We're going back to Spartanburg. I mean, we're going a lot of places.
Yeah, because not only am I a co-host and now producer on the show, but I'm also a fan of the show. So in watching the show with my family, because we were all in the house in 2020 and when this premiered, and watching each episode, I remember, part of me watches it critically because I'm watching me, Bob, and Eureka and how we connect, and I'm watching it from a producer perspective. But when I take that part away and I'm just watching it as a viewer, it was so emotional. And I remember watching it and thinking, I have to be more grateful in these moments because, I've been able to work all around the world. I've met hundreds of thousands of people. And when there's a job to be done, I'm Shangela. I came to work. I'm a professional. So I go into work. But this show is, because it's a real life docuseries, it requires us to be so vulnerable and authentic and real with people to build a strong connection. I feel like I did that in season 1, but watching the show in watching the show, I also got to watch Bob and Eureka's individual relationships and storylines. And we don't get to see that while we're filming the show. So I learned so much in watching them as well, and how they were so able to wear their hearts on their sleeves and really build these strong, emotional, and inspiring connections with their kids. And I just remember thinking, if we're able to go back for a second season, I want to build even stronger relationships with my kids, amazing shows for them that makes them feel like real superstars on their one night of doing drag. It was that I wanted to be even more connected to them. I felt like, I'm a person in life who, if I've overcome struggles and hardships and challenges in my life. I also grew up in a small town, but I'm very much like, okay, that's the problem. What's the solution? And I'm very like, all right, let's focus on the solution and let's get the job done. That's always how I've been. When Drag Race didn't go my way, I wasn't like, oh, poor woe is me, I didn't get the crown, 2, 3, and All Stars 3. I was like, all right, that happened. Let's get to work. Let's show them why I should be in this position that I am in. Let's find greater purpose with this. Let's keep going. And in this show, there's a big part of that still. And I tell all my kids, especially when it comes time for rehearsal, I'm like, all right, I'm Shangela, I'm your nice mama, but right now for rehearsals, I'm gonna be your mean mama, because I want you, I push them because I want them to, when it comes time for the stage show and they have their community out there and they're in front, I don't want them to feel like I didn't prepare them for this moment. I want to say, if they feel like I got it, I'm like, do it again. Because I want these words and these lyrics to come out of your soul, baby. Because when you get up there with the light, because I've done it, I've done it for 10 years. Everyone thinks, oh my gosh, drag, this is fun. Put a wig on, put a dress, let's woo woo. Baby, this is a moment to connect with your audience, to inspire them, to motivate them. And that's really what I wanted to continue to do this year. That's why I say I had to be more vulnerable, because I'm just so used to, like, let's just take the problem head on, let's get it done, as opposed to sharing part of me. I didn't think I shared, but until the last episode where it was about us, I didn't feel like I had shared enough of why I was in this, why I felt valid in this experience as a host on the show, why I felt I had a perspective to be able to connect with them. I didn't think they knew as much because I wasn't, as big of a sharer. And this season, I think in seeing this, you'll see that I'm opening up even more about me and myself and my background and my heritage, and And my experience is that, and my hardships, my downfalls, that have led to me being able to overcome and hopefully inspire them to do the same themselves. Because a lot of times they think, oh, we're working with the celebrities, Bob and Eureka and Shangela, you know, but it's like you're working with what we have to really share with them and get across is that you're working with a person who's been through a lot of the same struggles that you've been through. And that's why I know that you can overcome these things. And it's specifically in Evansville with my drag kid case, you know, hearing him say that he really thought that being happy was a fantasy. Like, I don't really think anyone can really be happy. And I'm like, oh, okay, we got work to do. Because I saw it in him. He's such a beautiful person with such great joy and deserves so much love. But because of the hardships and the challenges that he'd run into with his family, with his country, with his religion, with where he lived and all of his surroundings, and being beaten down so much, he didn't see light at the end of the tunnel. And that just inspired me to have even greater purpose in that moment. And this show's a real gift. I got to give it to you. And not just for the people who participate and not just for the people who watch, but also for me.
I learned a lot about these small towns. Being from a small town, I haven't lived in one in a really long time. I mean, I moved to New York City in 2008. It was 13 years ago. So I really, and so most of my adult years have been formed in, you know, really big cities in New York, and now I live in LA. I did a little bit of time in Berkeley, California. So I just learned that, you know, in a lot of these small towns, like there are a lot of queer people are like the pulse of these towns.
What I learned the most, I think, is just like relying on my instincts, right? And letting you know, the drag daughters open up to me as I open up to them. You know, really, I learned a lot about like maybe formatting the show, how I would come up with the performances as far as like prepping a little bit before I got there, so that we could really like go all out with the performances and find things that really resonate with the daughters themselves, like something they can relate with. So like before going into the episode, I would ask the story producers to like find out like what their 5 to 10 top songs were, so I could see like what genres they were into and what kind of music, you know, just to fill out a little bit more of their personality that way. We would get like a bio of them and like a little video of them talking about their story a little bit, just to kind of get to know them before meeting them. So we had a little bit more prep, I think, this season too, which helped us, you know, prepare, but also connect with them when we met them. No, honestly, it was really cool because it really did help a lot, you know. And the thing is after seeing season 1, I think we all just realized how important this show is and how important our individual connections with our daughters were. And so I think we just really wanted to amplify that because it was a really special experience to do this, you know, for me, Bob, and Shangela.
You know, they're my sisters, okay? And we all say that for Drag Race, like, oh, they're my sisters, you know, but it is like a sorority. And we got like 150 of us, right? And I knew Bob and Eureka already. I knew Bob before Drag Race. And of course, I knew them after because we had, you know, worked together here and there on a tour or a date here and there. We'd all be together, but never in this particular capacity in helping to produce and create a show and being together for weeks at a time. And I can honestly say, you know, with this show, I give a huge credit in putting this together, the people who put this together, and that is Stephen Warren and Johnny Ingram. They literally called me, Eureka, and Bob, said, we want you guys to come over, and we're like, we have this show, we want you to do it. There was no audition. There was no chemistry test. You know, they just trusted that we could do the job. And the thing that I love and respect about Bob and Eureka so much, and getting to know them better through these last 2 seasons, is that, you know, I'm a Shangela, okay? I got a song called Working Girl. I came to work. I am a what? A professional. So I really respect and admire people who have that same kind of work ethic. And Bob and Eureka are most definitely those people. This show would not work without their professionalism, without their creativity, without their ability, without their knowledge of how to work best with their teams and the teams that they brought in, as well as to work also in my team that we were able to bring in. You know, they're great. They're amazing. They're professionals, and they're my sisters. You know, when we go through such hard days of working with very heavy stories, a lot of times we lean on each other because nobody knows the challenges that of going through a lot of these situations as much as the three of us do. So we will have like debriefs or powwows or be like, girl, come over to my room. And we will just kiki. And we're also fun drag entertainers. They love putting on a show. So I don't have to be like, you know, what number are you doing? Oh, let's talk about that. Or are you hosting? What's your solo number? I know what I bring to the table for the show. We can come together, learn choreo like that together for the group number. And I trust that they're going to put on something amazing, which makes our show amazing. So I'm so thrilled to work with them.
We have a great bond. There's a lot of respect for each other. We give each other a lot of space. And I think that's what makes the show really great is actually we're not like constantly on top of each other. We're not all working on the same person or the same project. We get to show up in the town, see each other, and then break apart for like a week and then do some wonderful show and tell at the end. Because the thing is, so me, Shangela, and Eureka are friends and we're great workers together, but we before the show, especially, we did not like hang out a lot. Like I didn't have a particularly strong relationship with either one of them. I mean, at one point during the show, we were all living in different states. I was living in New York City, Eureka was living in Los Angeles, and Shangela was living in Paris, Texas. So we were at as far as three people can be in America. You know what I mean? The bottom of the middle, and then up here, and then over here. So luckily, when we see each other, we get to have a lot of fun. I'm definitely the most motherly when it comes to the shows and giving and tenderness and a balance between sternness and tenderness.
Monsters. They're absolutely horrible to work with. No, they're really honestly brilliant. They're just geniuses to work with because I don't have to worry about them. They don't really have to worry about me like that. You know, we're really dependable, I think, on each other. I know that if I show up and Bob and Shangela are showing up to do something, that they're going to do it 110%. And then if I need help, I can always count on them. Especially when we're out on the field together, you know, like we just really support each other. There's moments where like, you know, maybe me and Shangela, like, because Shangela wears these giant heels, right? Because she's so much shorter than we are. So she'll wear like a 12-inch platform shoe and I'll be in like a 3 to 4 inch, but usually my feet start hurting around the same time her feet start hurting, but for different reasons. So like we'll band together and be like, we need a break, pull in the chairs, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's little things like that where we've gotten closer and we support each other in that way, you know? When we first came into this project, we were kind of going into it blind together. We'd worked together, but never the three of us. And I think that since season 1, you know, you're going to see even more this season how close we've become because, you know, we've survived the first season, a pandemic, and it's just we've naturally grown more and more as sisters. And, you know, last season I could say we were sisters, but this season I feel like I can say we're family.
I think the big thing, and you know, we'd love to be recognized. That was awesome. And but the biggest thing I think that people really connect with this show is because whether you're part of the LGBTQIA plus community or not, all of us can identify with feelings of, you know, whether it's being put down or looked down upon, feeling isolated, like you're the only one in a space where no one is like you, feeling uncomfortable, or having challenges in life that you've had to overcome, struggles, and that you've had to really work through. And that's what our people on this show represent. That's what their stories are about. And we try to show them the opportunity for triumph. That you can work through, there is hope. And everyone in our world, especially after the year that we've gone through with the pandemic, everyone deserves hope. And they deserve to feel valid and to feel heard and know there is opportunity out there for them to be happy in a way, you know, if they choose to work through it, but also to know that they're not alone in the challenging situations that life sometimes brings all of us. And especially for those of us in the queer community, it's a reminder that no matter how far we've gotten, that there's still more work to do. So I think when people watch this show, they see a piece of themselves here, and whether they're moved to tears by it or they're made to laugh out loud because they see, you know, three drags on TV living out their hilarious, fun lives and going through these very like unwelcoming places, but still able to walk with their heads high, whether that makes them laugh or smile. It's a show where they're entertained. Any person who watches this, and every person I think, has the opportunity to gain something from just viewing it.
The fact that we are having these, like, I say often that we're here, like, you know, Little Shop of Horrors isn't really about a talking plant. It's really about desire, and it's about greed, and it's about feeling like an outcast. And there happens to be a big singing talking plant there. So we're here isn't really about drag. It's not really about dressing people up in drag. You know, the drag is just a really sparkly, wonderful part to get people to watch, but it's really about connecting with people on a human level, amplifying queer voices in small towns, and talking about the individuals in these towns. Because sometimes we lump small towns into like one, everyone's like one person. But the truth is, there's a lot of individuality there.
Just the truth. It's just the honesty in it. I think that's what resonates, is people can relate to these stories, whether you're heteronormative or homosexual or anywhere on the spectrum. I think that these are human issues that everyone faces, whether it's not just about your queerness, it's about identity, it's about confidence, it's about love, it's about self-love. Everyone struggles with all of those things, whether you're gay or not, you know. So I think that that's what resonates with people, to be honest.